Reducing early voting from 14 days to 8 days in 2011 caused 225,000 voters not to be accessed, and it caused a huge overflow on Election Day.
If what you just heard is true, that shortening the period of early voting and long lines at the polls in urban centers are connected, North Carolina's lawmakers cannot say they were never warned. In fact, the same measures that have been recommended by conservative organizations for Florida's 2012 election were now being proposed in North Carolina for 2016. While many focused on the possibility of voter ID restrictions, democracy advocates were more concerned about the cumulative effect of laws that would make it easier for money to influence elections, while making it harder for voters to do so.
I have with me today my passbook. It's got my photo on it. I have my driving license, photo on it. I have my credit card, photo on it.
We also ask that student identifications be accepted as a form of ID. Supporters of changing voting laws are speaking about potential harms, potential fraud. I'm speaking about real suppression.
I didn't realize we had this many stupid people in North Carolina that can't get ID, the kids that are in college and they don't drive. My goodness.
If you apply and you get it, it is good for 5 years. You can go back and do it in 5 years. So, you know, what's the deal?
We have had all kinds of tests imposed upon us. This is just another test.
Guess what? The majority of the people in the United States want the election process to be fair and to be honest, okay?
And you're saying that the voter ID would
The voter ID. I mean, you know, you need...
But how about things like cutting early voting? Like that doesn't
I mean, believe it or not, you might not believe this, but my first bill when I was here on early voting, I promoted that. It got abused. Okay, abused in the sense that it was never designed to give one group an advantage over another.
When early voting came along, it was the best tool we had ever had to eliminate Election Day voting lines. We had 20 early voting sites open, and they were all busy for 17 days. That's the only way you can get 260,000 people the opportunity to vote. In 1988, we had the longest lines that we have ever had in Guilford County. Tens of thousands of people left the polls because they couldn't get in a reasonable amount of time. When you talk about voter integrity, you're not just talking about preventing illegal votes. It is just as detrimental to prevent legitimate voters from voting.
If you find me 50 felons who don't care if they go back to jail and give me the means to transport them, for every day of early voting in North Carolina, I can get you 500 votes.
You're saying it's easy to cheat?
It's so easy, it just makes me sick. Hiding non-U.S. citizens on the voter roll is very easy. Groups like Media Matters, Democracy NC, and the Brennan Center are all part of a vast left-wing conspiracy, if you'll pardon the term, working to pad the voter rolls with as many non-citizens as possible.
This fear of voter fraud, a lot of people believe that there are many cases of voter fraud out there.
Well, they're not.
We don't know how to investigate or track. They just kind of have this feeling.
Well, people believe in ghosts and UFOs and all kind of things too, but the fact that they believe those things doesn't make them true.
Yeah.
And for 25 years of being inside elections and being involved with people across the nation, not just in North Carolina, you know, I know that that's just simply not true. About 45% of our same-day registrants in Guilford County are African Americans. If you don't want African Americans to vote, eliminating same-day registration is a good way to reduce the African American vote.
It seems as though this group wants to pass all these negative policies to hurt poor people, hurt poor, hurt sick, hurt unemployed. And then they woke up and said, but wait a minute, if we hurt all these people, they might judge us in the ballot box. So we've got to guard against that. So now what we're going to do is roll back the only tool people have to equalize this democracy, and that is the right to vote.
The
U.S. Supreme Court has announced a significant decision this morning. The court struck down a key section of the 1965 Voting Rights Act.
The ruling means North Carolina no longer needs federal permission to change voting laws. Republican leaders are considering quite a few changes, from voter ID to cutting early voting and banning Sunday voting and same-day registration. Senator Tom Apodaca said they've been waiting to see how the court ruled.